Hey, all right, welcome back everyone. My name's Christian Smedberg. So we are Re-Tool Tour day number 2. That's a mouthful, I know, and we have jam-packed our day with all kinds of machine demonstrations here from Holz-Her USA. We are excited about today. We're excited about the second half of today. We all just had lunch and we're ready to go for another few hours. If you're joining us, you are on Facebook or YouTube, or you're on our website, WeinigHolz-Her.com, where we're streaming as well. The next demo that we have in store for you guys is on the machine that's in back of me. This is a Hydromat 3000, I'm again calling in a couple guys who are extremely tenured and know quite a few things about profiling to help me out with this machine demo. In just a minute, I'll get them on camera and we'll start the next machine presentation. So a couple things real quick before we go into that. If you guys have questions or comments, drop them in the comments feed and we'll make sure that we answer them, make sure that your questions get addressed. We'd love to hear from you. So even if you just want to give us a shout, let us know where you're from, where you're tuning in from, where you're watching from. Maybe what do you do in the industry? Are you do you do flooring? Do you do cabinet parts? Do you do doors? What is it in the woodworking industry that you do? Just let us know, and that would be great. Just put it in the comments there. We really hope that you're enjoying this Re-Tool Tour. There's been just a lot of great educational information, and the rest of the day is going to be just jam-packed. We got 4 sessions left today, where we're just going to be going through 1, 2, 3, 4, actually 5, because then we're going up to Hickory at the end of the day, Hickory, North Carolina, where we manufacture material handling equipment. Now, that is, if you don't watch anything today, you got to tune in for that. So we'll be up in Hickory, North Carolina, starting at around, help me out, when are we starting? I think maybe around 4 o'clock or so. 4:15. We're going to be starting up at Hickory at 4:15. We're going to be going through an entire rip cut line. It's going to be awesome to see. So make sure you check that out. If you've missed any of the Re-Tool Tour so far, most of the sessions are archived on Facebook and YouTube, so you can always check them out there. If you've missed anything, or if you just want to reference something, because we've given out a lot of good information. We've given out maintenance information. We've given out optimization information, CNC information. All kinds of good educational tidbits have been scattered throughout this live feed. They're also archived, so if you missed it the first time around, you can go back, look at the videos there. All right, enough of me, everybody. I'm sorry. Enough of me. We're going to get going on this machine in back of me. I got Michael Mushkett here. Michael, come on over here. So, yep. Michael, why don't you take it away? Give us an introduction, and let's fire up this machine, huh?
Sounds good. Sounds good, Christian. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. We're going to be showing you the Hydromat 3000. It's just here behind me. We'll get started in just a minute. I just want to say thank you so much for everybody that's joining in to the Re-Tool Tour, and thank you for joining us here live out of Mooresville today. We're putting out a lot of content on Facebook, on Instagram. If you're not already following us, just if you have Instagram, just go there and check us out. You will see a lot of videos behind the scenes material, and it's just a lot of great information, very entertaining. So yeah, Sean, why don't you come in the picture? Like we said, today we're gonna be showing you the Hydromat 3000. So this is a 12-inch wide machine running up to 330 feet per minute material. We are using a lateral chain feeder that's going to be feeding the material into the machine. And yeah, before I give you guys, before I bore you guys too much, I'm just going to turn it over to Sean and have him talk a little bit about the machine.
Thank you, Michael. Again, welcome to everybody. Hope you want to see something pretty quick here. Michael and I are going to go through some of the main points of the differences between the Hydromat 3000 and some of our other machines we've had out there for quite a few years, similar to some of you guys that have the H23s, the H23Cs, some 22As, Bs, and so on. So all of this is a machine, the H3000, to do a replacement for all of those. Now, Michael had just said this particular machine is a 12-inch wide machine. It is capable of 330 feet a minute, but we are running right about 220 today. Yep. And we're going to run a couple of profiles for you. So we're going to fire the machine up, make some racket, create some chips, do what it does best, and then we'll shut the dust collection down so we can hear. And I will do a changeover to the next profile, and Michael will kind of walk and talk you through some of this stuff. But we would like to quickly show you a few differences in between some of these machines. Can you get this way? And you guys out there that have ran Hydromats or high-speed equipment, you'll notice some of the things that are these differences here that are fantastic on this new piece of equipment. So some of the things for the high speed, such as your 22Bs, you can see we have a much larger roller coming into the system, and that helps absorb through maximum diameter some of the differences in those boards coming into the machine. So we have the clutch rollers here. You can see they're pretty robust. Another thing, when the camera was back there a little ways, had a quick peek, and it made it look like the machine was very small. So I'm glad we came up here to show you the size of this thing compared to me. Another very neat item that comes into play is these simple releases on the handles. We'll roll this into a certain spot, and that comes up out of the way. Again, less things that have to come off of the machine, and then the operator has to turn around and go hunting for them when it's time to get put back on. A very cool thing on this fence, the whole fence behind the right side cutter, is a simple push button. It's an aero over hydraulics locking system. So as that fence comes to and from the right side cutter head, it's just a simple push button. We don't have to raise the feed beam or get in behind the machine as we used to have to do in the past to deal with those. There are some pretty cool features here on the sides. You'll notice on the machine too, there's lots of locking handles all over it. So we're having to deal with fewer wrenches to do these changeovers. So one of the things is we simply release this locking handle, and then we can simply put a quick adjusting tool on there, and we can very quickly adjust the outfeed fence, the infeed chip breaker, and the actual movable table plate in front of that cutter head, both on the right and left spindles there. So very, very handy for the operator. Another thing here is on the, you can see it's digital counters on everything to begin with, so it's nice and bright. A lot of times you get into these high production areas and it's a little dingy and hard to see some of those counters. But also we can put on these hand wheels up here on the top, very quick adjustments for those big assemblies that we're having to run up and down, whether we change from a 4-wing setup to a 10-wing setup, something like that. That's a lot of movement in those areas, and we can make those fast adjustments. We also have a new system for the chip breaker units, to whereas they're simply adjustable with a small wrench, and we just run those in and out to come to and from that cutting circle. We don't have the chip breaker system as in the past, where we'd have to change the pad itself, and then we'd lose the value of the counter. So that same pad stays on all the time. We're simply making a lateral movement that runs parallel to the table plate. Another thing you'll see on here is when we do our changeover, there's a quick adjustment system for the outboard bearing. We do not have to pump up and grease up the outboard every single time we take a head on and off of the machine. So you'll see that in just a few minutes when we do a change. And then the other thing is, because we do have 12-inch capability on this machine, we have 2 separate pressure shoes back there. It's good for when we're holding a large, wide piece of material running through there. We have to be able to not just hold the center of the piece, but hold the entire piece down, so we're running flush on that table plate, and especially across this bottom cutter. Now, the bottom cutter is something that's really, really special and different on this machine, guys. Anybody that's ever had to deal with a last bottom on a jointed machine, as soon as you joint that tool, you basically have to break the spindle loose as far as adjusting it, and compensate as a guess to get it back to where that knife is actually running flush with the table plate. So kind of as a safety issue, we would have to make that adjustment on the fly. So one of the neat things is, on this machine, the entire assembly, the spindle, the outboard plate, the joiners, all of that carries together. So when we go to make an adjustment on the machine, Mike, I don't have to worry about when I joint that tool, I don't have to go in and kind of say, how much do I got to compensate, and keep running material until I get back home again.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great feature that makes the adjustment just so much quicker and much less chances for errors.
Okay, so with that, we're going to, right now the machine is in an open up position, Christian, and we're going to send that back to a position where it needs to be at. And a lot of you guys out there that have either seen a PowerCom machine, something like that, we are actually controlling through the servo drives all of my radials on both tops, the feed beam, and my left is moving very fast. We have a whole different system on there that allows that left side cutter head to move real quick. So that does do nice things to us maintenance-wise, where we're dragging a lot of grease around on all this stuff by having them automated. So we'll go ahead and send that into position.
That's right. So when Sean went almost through the entire alphabet of previous machine models that we used to have, all the features that he mentioned now is just updates that have been made through to the machine over the years that make the adjustment so much quicker and easier for the operator. Like I said, much less chances for errors. It's gonna be every piece coming out is gonna be perfectly accurate to our specifications. So yeah, like Sean said, he's putting the machine into working position right now. The PowerCom computer is controlling the entire machine. It's sending all the profile data and all those values to the digital counter. The digital counters are equipped throughout the entire machine. Again, makes the setup very easy for the operator, very repeatable. So the dust collector is turned on, so the noise is going to go up a little bit now, but I hope you guys can still hear us okay. So right now, Sean is starting the spindles on the machine. What he's going to do, he's going to run some material for us. So we're going to see the material. The material is already loaded onto the lateral chain feeder. So once all the spindles are started and up to speed, then we can run our material. Now he's turning on the feed system. And there we go. Alright guys, those were the first 7 boards perfectly planed into S4S. Man, I hope you guys could feel this, but this is like very slick. Alright, so Sean just stopped the machine. He is now selecting the next profile that we will be running. After the profile is selected, he's going to open up the machine to send the machine into tool change position. That basically raises up the feed beam. The left spindle and the 2 top spindles are moving out of the way to give the operator more room to put his hands into the machine and make the actual changeover. Alright, so while Sean is rolling the tool cart around, I wanted to explain you guys a little bit more about the new style of hydrolock technology that we are using in our tools and in the outboard bearings of the machine. So we do have a little setup right here on the outfeed. So right there we have a cutter head mounted just as a little display, and I wanted to show you guys, Christian, if you want to come a little bit closer, I want to show you guys how the new hydrolock technology works that we are using. So guys, this is a 8-wing cutter head. As you can see here in the front, the setup here in the front looks a little bit different than what you might be used to. So we do have a big Allen set screw right there. Opposite of that, there's a little black with brass indicator pin. So how the system works, it still works with grease, but it's a closed system. So in order to pressurize the head, what I have to do, I put my Allen key in here and I run that set screw in.
We can show it here, Michael, if you'd like.
Yeah, so we're going to show it over there, but this is basically just a general setup. So basically the theory is you run the set screw in that pressurizes the head. The indicator pin will come out. If I want to remove the head, I just loosen up the set screw. The pin recesses inside the head, and that loosens up the head. And same technology on the new style outboard bearings.
So we've just loosened that up. Our pin is dropped in. You can see that's below the surface. Another cool feature here, guys, on this outboard plate are these C-rings. So we basically leave our nuts in place. We don't have to look for those all over the machine when we're doing our changeover. And we just simply pull that outboard off and all that stuff stays in place.
All right, so once the outboard bearing is off, we've got a question, okay. Same time. All right. Both edges at the same time. All right, we got a question here in the chat. It said it shoot both edges at the same time. If you could maybe explain that a little bit better, I'd love to answer your question. So what the machine is doing, the machine, it's a 6-head machine, so it's running all 4 sides of the material at the same time. After Sean puts the head into the machine, he's going to joint the head to get all knives to the same cutting circle, and that will basically allow us to run those higher speeds. So what he's doing right now is PowerCom sent the information of that specific profile or cutter head to the counter. So we're adjusting right now the chip breaker and the pressure shoe on this machine. What's nice about those digital counters, they show you 2 numbers, the bottom numbers where we're at, the top numbers where we have to go. The machine is going to tell us in which direction we have to crank the handle in order to bring it to position and take the backlash out of the thread. So right now Sean is putting on the new cutter head. All right, once it's on.
This is an old style head, so I need to...
All right, so what Sean said, this is an old style cutter head, so we are using the grease gun to pressurize the head to 300 bars. All right. Next is also the profile joiner.
Yep. You can, another thing that's going on is these nuts are much larger than what you guys have dealt with in the past with that little wimpy 13mm wrench we sent along. So the nuts are larger. There's one wrench that comes with the machine that hits a lot of the different adjustments that we're going to make all with the same type of wrench.
Jason Davis is asking if they're opposing heads.
All right, next question in the chat is opposing heads. So on this machine, we do not have opposing heads. It's the regular, what we call 018 spindle configuration. So we have a bottom, a right, a left, 2 top heads, and then the last bottom head. The Hydromat 3000 is available in a few other spindle configurations. If we are looking for a machine with opposing heads, we would actually switch to the PowerMat 3000, which is basically the same frame machine as the Hydromat 3000. We just have more options on the PowerMat 3000 compared to the Hydromat 3000. Jason was mentioning it, opposing heads. So opposing heads are great if a customer is running material where he needs to absolutely make sure that both edges both edges, left and right, of the material are perfectly parallel and true to each other. We use that very often. People that run tongue and groove or flooring, they use opposing heads very often. What we can also do, once we have those opposing heads on a machine, we can also make them float with the material. So, for example, if you're running very long material, we recently saw a customer that's running some CLT production, and they're running very long material, up to 60 feet long, finger jointed product. And because, I mean, if you can imagine, that pine board might have some bend to it. So in this case, we're using those floating opposing heads to perfectly straighten the material. All right, so as you can see, everything is back together. The outboard bearing is back on, and everything is clamped and pressurized.
So we'll close the hood and let the machine do its settings.
Yeah, so Sean is closing the hood now, and then we'll have the machine do the rest. All right, so once everything is set up, the machine, or Sean is going back to PowerCom to the control screen and telling the machine to go back into working position. All right, so there's a yellow box on the screen up there. Once that box goes away, that means the machine is in working position. We're still waiting for the feed beam to come down, and after that we can start the machine. So the first profile that we ran, you guys saw, that was an S4S. The next one that we're going to do is going to be a casing. Sean?
So Michael, the way the PowerCom system works is if I, as an operator, have missed something that manually has to be done, then it's going to prompt me on screen. If we notice here, this has an adjustable in-feed table done with the handle. So we've got a flashing arrow there, and it tells me where to come and look. And as Michael spoke, it's going to show us where we need to be versus where we need to go and which direction to actually turn it. So we want to be in the solid arrow side. I'm just going to run up to that number. Okay. So now my screen is all clean. The full machine is in working position.
All right. So on those bigger machines, especially with an in-feed mechanization, we always like to adjust the in-feed table with a counter from the front of the machine. You guys know, and usually on the smaller machines, the Hydromat 700, 1500, things like that, standard, they come with a manual mechanism in the back to adjust the in-feed table and the fence. On those bigger machines, we're bringing those adjustments to the front of the machine. Just makes it a lot easier for the operator to make those adjustments. All right, Sean, just put the next batch of material on the lateral chain feeder while we wait on until all the spindles are up to RPM. All right, the next thing that we have to do is we have to joint the head that we just took out. So this machine, the Hydromat 3000, is equipped with all automatic straight knife and profile joiners. All right, so we're doing 2 joints and we're ready to run. All right, guys, this is our next profile. Again, very smooth surface. That's what you can expect out of a Weinig molder.
So I hope that was a good explanation, a little quick, but we wanted to show you exactly what the machine is capable of and some of the features that we talked through we actually used here on that top head. So the fellas that are running the high speeds back into your Hydromats, you know, the whole series, be it 22s and so on that we mentioned earlier. The thing is that these machines are so durable, and they have to be because of the feed speeds that we're running, the pressure of the parts coming through the machine, all the forces being generated on the tooling and the parts. They all have to be built in a way that they will last. Right. And I want to give a shout out to a company here in Climax, North Carolina. Just for the last couple of weeks, one of our technicians has been, let's say, resurrecting a H23. And in just the 2 weeks' time of replacing some parts on this machine that was sitting in the corner, they're up to 200 feet a minute and just as smooth as glass, just like the same finish we'd see here. That's amazing. So that's a really nice testament to the quality of material you get when you purchase a Weinig. And I'm very proud to stand behind that name myself.
So we had a comment, someone wants to see the finish.
Hold on just a minute. We're going to try to get a board up there. Someone asked to see a finish on the piece. Who was it? Yeah, you're going to have to go perpendicular to the camera. Just run it sideways. Yeah. No, go like this. Watch your head, Andy. You're going to have to hold it up there, Mike. And hopefully we can look right across there. It's going to be tough to see, but you can see the hopefully you can see those knife marks in there. We're about, we were running it right at 200 feet a minute, so we should be, you know, somewhere in between 14 to 15 knife marks per inch. Christian, we got any other questions out there? Well, Michael, thank you for your help in explaining some of this. We'll invite Christian to come back in the shot here, and we'll let him take over.
Guys, that was great. Thank you so much. So real quick, just one thing I just wanted to say. How fast were we running again?
Right about 200 feet.
200
per minute.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so 200 feet per minute. This is a very fast machine. Great machine. Again, Hydromat 3000. If you guys have any other questions about this machine, drop them in the comments and we'll get to answering them. Even if it's after the stream, we'll pop a comment back to you and we'll get your answers. We'll get your answers to you. So, gents, thank you so much for another great profiling demo. This will be, I believe this is our last profiling demo of today. I think the Moulder experts will be back tomorrow morning for day 3 of the Retool Tour when we look at a PowerMat 1500. So that'll be cool. Oh, a totally different machine.
Going to Michigan.
Yeah, in a totally different location. But yeah, that'll be a great demo as well. So again, guys, thank you so much for showing us the H3000. And if anybody has any questions or anything like that, drop them in the feed. We'll be back at 1:15, I believe. I believe it's 1:15. 1:15 for our via cockpit session. That's super cool. If you guys are watching right now, make sure you tune back in at 1:15. We're going to be upstairs at the desk with our very own Donnie Kirkland, who's going to be going through via cockpit our monitoring solution software. That's app. It's mobile friendly. It's a really cool thing. I hate to call it machine monitoring because it does so much more. So anyway, just tune in then, and we'll see you then. All right.